All right, we will get started momentarily. And you can say hi in the chat. I'll be the very first person. We got a Halloween live stream happening today. At least Halloween for the US. Send out my notification here. Like I said, we'll get started here very shortly. I'm going to wait for the first submissions to come in. Hello, Derek. Hello, Singh. Hello, Francis. Skill. Muna, Derek, Raju. Thank you. I'm doing fine. I went to the gym earlier. Just got back. Yep. So we'll introduce the show here in about 60 seconds. We're going to let more people filter in. Drink some water. Is it possible to get a remote job in America when I come from Europe? Yes, it is, especially, due to COVID-19 and everybody realizing, hey, we can just do this stuff from home, like we always have been able to. All right. We already got a few submissions. All right, so just like last stream, this stream is brought to you by our sponsor, hover.com. And with Hover, you can register a domain name for your design portfolio. They have over 400 domain extensions to choose from when building your brand online. So no matter what area of creative space you're in, there's a domain waiting for it, from design.art to .inc to .photo and a lot more. So you're going to find excellent technical support to answer any questions you may have. And it's a really good and easy to use user interface. So definitely take advantage of this offer. You can access the link, my custom design course link here, to take 10% off of your first order at checkout. So that is the top link here in the YouTube description. And I also just forgot, because I'm bad at these things, I need to make an adjustment really quickly so that everybody can see this. All right, in a second. You don't see it yet. Let me get it up. And where are you at? Why are you not showing up? Let me try a different one. I'm supposed to, there we go. I'm supposed to, as a part of our agreement, show this little thing. Let me show you what my streaming software looks like. It's pretty crazy. It's called vMix. So I'm just gonna work on this really quickly because I need to get this shown. I don't know why the overlay isn't really showing here. It's not showing up. Oh well. No big deal, I guess. We'll just have to get to that next time. So anyhow, like I said, the hover.com link is the first link in the description to get 10% off. All right, so let's go ahead and introduce the show. For those of you who are new, basically you submit your UI UX design in the Discord server. The instructions are in the YouTube description. And the Discord server is right here. Make sure when you first join, you have to assign a role down here by clicking on one of these, and then it will open up all these channels, from which then you go to negative space submissions channel, and then you just submit your link like everybody is right now. I'll take them in the order that they come. However, if you want to send a super chat to kind of boost and go to the front of the queue, you can do that as well. So let's go ahead and check out the very first one. Big Don. What's Big? Oh yeah, you gotta be kidding me. This is the very first submission. You know what? We're gonna rate this. So 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. Let me know in the chat what you think about this design. I'm gonna give my own personal rating about this fan page. You have 10 to 15 seconds to get yours in. For me, I have to say, I think I'm going to have to give this a rating of... Oh no, what's happening? My rating system's not working. None of the overlays are working. Oh, I'm so mad. You don't get to see my cool overlays. Yeah, I definitely have to rate this. We're going to give this one a 10. I really like it. Everything's perfect about it. Completely serious there. Okay. Next up. All right. This is the next. What is this from Awa? All right. UI coach. UI coach. What is this? Some type of competitor? JVS. You gotta you gotta pay attention here because we're building our own little UI design challenge situation. UI design challenge generator. Become a better UI designer at your own pace. UI coach generates UI design challenges for you that include project ideas, color palettes, font pairings, and illustrations libraries. So about this landing page, the first thing I think does lack is visual hierarchy. It kind of seems like it's all over. Things are spaced out kind of far away from each other, and even though these are styled, these 3 different blips are styled differently, they're not differently enough. So I think you need to work in scale a little bit more, and also alignment. Just because it seems just like, you know, there's not a lot of visual hierarchy. There's not one area that seems to really stand out the most. Let's generate a challenge and see what happens here. All right. Need a reminder, blah, blah. Challenge. Review site. This is one of the best types of online business. It doesn't require much investment, and you can earn good money through affiliate by creating a blog and reviewing things. All right. We have a JavaScript pop-up here. What is happening? I'm not sure about what I'm supposed to do. Click to download the font. Okay, I guess basically you're just supposed to choose one of these color palettes with a font pairing and then an illustrations library, and then just create it yourself, I guess. Okay. Yeah, about the design itself, though, I think, like I said, that's my main concern right here. Establish a better visual hierarchy. Generate challenge pretty far down on the page. You know, if what happens when I'm like, okay, they have everything squashed, essentially, which I don't like, because if you're on this, everything's really, it's kind of the opposite problem of before. Everything's really close together. So I would kind of rework that a little bit. What do you think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best? I'm going to go ahead and rate this a... Yeah, I'm going to try to... I don't know why this is not working. Oh, there it goes. I did not mean to give it a 1, by the way. What is happening? There we go, a 6. All right. 6.5 or so. All right, yeah, my vMix is all screwed up, my software. All right, next up. I already reviewed this one. It looks like he did make some improvements to it, because I remember reviewing this one specifically. I told him to bold these up, which definitely looks better. So that's good. I'm not gonna bother really. And you know, I might make these white, these icons up here. Plus, you can't really even see this green on blue right here, so I would change that maybe to white. But yeah, we're not going to bother rating because we already did that. Next up, all right, so we have a problem with type, I would say, plus my eyeballs. There's a lot of yellow here, a lot of different shades. You got orange and yellows. The color, yeah, there's a lot wrong here. I'll go through everything real quick, just in this general vicinity with the colors and everything. First, you have an issue with what I would say alignment. Whenever you have two columns like this, it just doesn't look good to center align the text in one of them for the most part. So I would left align all this stuff first. Second, typography. It's just, it doesn't really, it's very hard to pull off a serif font, especially in this context for this type of project. Serif generally works well for when you're trying to convey a certain feeling, and usually the type of site will dictate that. And for this being a programmer, serif generally, like 99% of the time, isn't going to be the right choice. Outside of that, you have this color here, which is this dark purple, which actually does contrast well with the background, but then you have slightly different hue right here on these icons, and that's creating inconsistency in the color. So you have an issue with alignment, typography, color. So that's going to be a big issue. Next up, a hamburger menu. Definitely get rid of that. Don't need it because you only have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different links here, and you have all this space from which you can put it up there. So it's less clicks, bad UX. So I would change that. So again, you're using the right color here for this type of background, but then you're switching to white. So now it's hard to read this. There's not enough contrast here. Not enough contrast here is either. Very crazy background with white text. You're going to want to improve that. You'd be a perfect person to check out my UI design course on scrimba.com, by the way. So go to scrimba.com and you'll find it. All right, rating for this, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. Oops, I was trying to see if it's responsive. It is kinda. Got some issues though. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and rate this one a, oh God, none of these are working. It's really pissing me off. A 3. Yeah, I think that's fair. All right. Next up, made this with 2 other high schoolers. All right, we got a high schooler submission. I remember when I was in high school and I was doing web design myself. All right. Big issue here with what? White space. Too much of it. Too much of it right here, but not enough of it on the top. Let's see if we can fix this up, because it should be a very easy fix. So up here, we can see we have padding. We have 2 rem units on the top. You know, let's make that like 10. All right. And then right here, I'm not sure what's creating all this space in the middle. We'll try this. There, like that. And then beneath this, or the height of this, let's change. This is, they're using viewport height here, so there. So let me readjust this. All right, something like this would be a lot better, because now things are centered. For the most part. I mean, there's a little bit less compared to here, but you want to get that vertically centered within this specific container with this photograph. The photograph background, it works pretty well. Things do contrast well, but still there's an issue with visual hierarchy between these 2 elements right here, these 2 pieces of type. There's just not big enough of a difference. So I would probably scale this down to like 1.8 rem units. And maybe bump that up a little bit to like 3.5 rem. It's a little bit better in this context. The learn more button is pretty big. I'd scale that just down a tad bit. Looking at the logo, that needs kind of centered up vertically here. It's a little bit too much to the top. Looking at this, I would probably make these dark filled in by default instead of just how they are outlined. Also, things look really large. It looks like I zoomed up on my browser, but I didn't, as you can see up here. I would scale things down a little bit in terms of your type, and also certainly your icons are really large. Not enough white space down here between all these elements, vertically speaking. So, you know, this container, this pinkish container should be a lot larger in terms of height and more white space around these elements. All right, so 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you guys think they deserve? Let's see if it's responsive. I would probably put like a little icon next to menu. Also, this little line here, based on how this is situated, doesn't work too well. So I would fix that. For me, I'm going to go ahead and give this a rating of a 4.5 or so. All right. All right. Next up, Figma. I really hate Figma prototypes. I don't like their system for like showing prototypes. Like you gotta click play here. All right. So what's happening here? This is like some type of food or a order menu system or something. Where am I supposed to click? Hello? Well, I guess it's not prototyped yet. Here's everything. All right, starting with here. The skip button and the get started button shouldn't be styled the same. The skip button should be less of a thought. You know, this should be, you know, a color more like maybe a gray, and then you take the text on top and make it like something like that, and maybe a little bit smaller even. That way your emphasis is focused on the get started, but not also the skip. Next up, usually for text fields, you want to outline the whole rectangle in some way, shape, or form. You can give it like a lighter background and still keep this darker underscore there, or darker border bottom. Everything else here, these look pretty decent right here. Sign in with Google seems like more of an afterthought though. I would probably encase that in some type of container, or use what they want you to use for those connect buttons, because they have a certain way they want you to style these. So I think you might want to adjust that. Verification code, I'm just going to look at the main UI. I mean, nothing seems horribly wrong occurring here in the main UI. All right, so what do you think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best for their app design. I like this. And please don't screw up this person's. They made it so that we can edit it. Don't screw it up, please. If I see somebody's, there's a few people on here. I'm going to give this one here a 6.9, 6.8 or so. I think it's pretty decent. There's no big issues that I see. All right, next up is the text is Romanian. Sorry, this is a project that I made a few weeks ago. It is quite simple overall. Well, we'll see if it's quite simple, won't we? A lot of people think what they do is simple, but it's a lot of times it's just not. All right. Yeah, I had I don't know why I'm not getting the Google Translate option, but whatever. I had a very similar, you know what? I think I actually, didn't I review this? Did I review this already? Because I remember seeing this type of 2-column similar layout, and it was exactly like this. Okay, we already did this. I'm not doing this again. Okay. Don't resubmit the same stuff. Apple.com. Okay, you know what? Let's do Apple.com. I know nobody here made this design, but let's do it for the fun of it. What are we going to rate Apple.com? Oh, let's go back. And I'm going to rate this like I would any other website. I'm going to assume that, you know, it's not Apple, some major tech giant with all these amazing designers, supposedly. I'm just going to do this. Apple's site is already 10 out of 10. Yeah, you don't know that. I'm not going to rate this a 10 based on what I already see. All right, so Apple.com. iPhone 12 Pro, it's a leap year. Yay. Learn more and shop. What I don't like, the biggest thing about this is it seems to be quite condensed. There's not a lot of white space between these 3 elements. So I would probably change that to give a little bit more room to breathe here, at least on this viewport. I like the navigation. Of course, everybody has to have their little COVID-19 blip over here. This is all fine. I like this, the graphic here. But again, I think the biggest issue here is the lack of white space up in these areas at the top. Again, it's the same idea here. Like for instance, let's see if I'm able to edit it. Sometimes I'm not. Wait, what happened? There we go. Oh, of course they have to have some type of weird situation where I can't edit to what I want to. Wait, there we go. All right, so where is the... All right, so how would I restructure this? I would probably take this. Oh, darn. It's because they're using a background image. I can't, it's going to throw this off. So this would come down as well, and we would create more separation, at least between these 2 parts right here. I would still like to have a little bit more, but because of this, the way the CSS is set up, it's going to make that difficult. Yeah, I don't like this. So I'm not sure if you could see, it may not even come through on the video feed, but hold on a second. My wife is calling me. Yeah, what's up? I'm in the middle of a stream. Yeah, get the wiggle. Okay, bye. But there's a very subtle background. There's a white background like here, and then these cards have a very light gray. I think they need to be a little tad bit darker if you're going to go that route. Plus, right here, we have all this text next to each other. I don't like that. It's a little bit cluttered here. Overall, it's pretty solid, but you know, there's a few small things that I still would personally change. All right, 1 being the worst and 10 being the best, what do you think Apple.com deserves to get? Somebody said 4, 6. For me, I mean, for what this is, you know, I don't know. I'm gonna have to give this like a 7.5 or so. Something like that. I think that's pretty fair based on what they have going. I made this part of my internship. All right. All right, so the first thing I think when I see this one is just, it's bland. Just because the background with the whole 2-color dichotomy thing going on there, not one really sticks out over the other. This has to, the box shadow has to go. What I would do with this instead is I would take this, get rid of the text shadow, make this black. There we go. And then make it maybe like 9 rem units. Oh, that's letter spacing I was adjusting. Well, I still like that even better, I think. Font size is 9 rem. All right, like that. Line height would need to be adjusted. Let's see what happens here. There we go. So I like this text treatment for this scenario right here rather than the original, which is right here. And see how bland that is? So that's one change I would make. Again, I want to do the hover with the text shadow thing over there. It's just kind of just old school and outdated, really. Coming up here. The type needs work because you have letter spacing on all this paragraph stuff and makes it hard to read. So I would just remove the adjustment you made on this. Yeah, these shadows, shadows are meant to like barely be seen for the most part. I mean, I know in the real world you can really see crazy shadows, but for UI design, you don't want your shadows to stick out like this. Generally speaking, it's just best to get rid of them. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think? Did somebody send a super chat? I thought I saw something weird come in. Maybe not. Okay. All right. For me, let's see what it looks like responsively. Very tiny. You need to bump that up, the size of that. Yeah, I'm going to give this one a 5.3 or so. Thank you for the submission. Next up is bl7.se. All right, how long? 28 minutes we've been doing this so far. All right, so let's refresh this. No animation, so all right, everything in hygiene, cleaning, and office equipment. The shop button doesn't really stick out enough. There's not a lot of contrast between itself and the background it's sitting on. So that's one thing I would definitely want to adjust. I would probably make this background photograph darker so that this stuff stands out more. The nav bar all looks pretty good here. Not sure if I really like, I like beige backgrounds like this, but I think maybe it needs to be maybe a little bit more desaturated or made darker. That way the cards kind of stick out a little bit more. Outside of that, pretty, fairly simple. See, I like this version right here better with the gray. The gray and this beige, they're not really good colors next to each other. If anything, I would just make this background white possibly if you're going to keep this color here. Yeah, same thing with the footer in this beige here. It doesn't look right. Let me see if I could change it to something else that might work better. And there's multiple options you can do. So like for instance, you can make this white. Now white works between those two. Or you could take the current color, like this beige color, and then just drop down. There we go. That's a little bit better in my opinion. But doing this, that doesn't work well. It's not a good contrast. So you go white like that, or You know, do something like this. Now they complement each other in the same hue. They're just different darknesses. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What should this person get? Five, 4, 7, 1, 4, 6. I think we're going to go ahead and give this a rating. There's some things happening right here. You know, there are rather. I think I'm going to give this a rating of, again, it's kind of in the middle of the road. I'll give it at like a 6.6 or so. Next up. All right. Who is next right here? Text Demi. This is a play off the Udemy thing. All right. How long have I been streaming? Oh, 31 minutes. Before we get to this, I do have to mention our sponsor, which is hover.com, because we're halfway through the show. So with Hover, you can register a domain name for your design portfolio. Most of you are designers here, obviously. I know we have some front-end developers as well. But Hover has over 400 domain extensions you could choose from when building your brand. So no matter what area of creative space you're in, there's a domain name waiting for it, which could be .design, .art, .inc, .photo, and a ton more. So you'll find excellent technical support to answer any questions you have. So definitely check out hover.com and take advantage of the 10% off your first order at checkout. Click on the top link of the YouTube description to take advantage of this offer, and they're sponsoring these live streams right now. So looking at this, now if I refresh this, we have like a little splash thing, and then this shows up. All right, so what is the issue here? I think the very first issue is obvious, like the biggest issue with this particular design. What is it? What is it out of the UI design fundamentals? Is it topography? Is it color and contrast? Is it white space? Is it visual hierarchy? Is it alignment? What do you think is the biggest issue here? Someone said not responsive. Someone said the text looks thin. Someone said white space, contrast, white space, space, white space. All right. So it depends. It could be two answers could be correct depending on how you look at it. You could say white space because there's too much white space at the bottom and not enough at the top, or you could say alignment. In which case I would say probably alignment is the better term to use here, because we need to take this block right here and we need to align it to the vertical center in the middle. So that's the first thing that I would do. And again, just to show you how much better it would look if you did that. What is happening here? What we can do is margin top. It's not working because there's some sort of strange overwrite happen here. Anyhow, it'll look a lot better if you centered it vertically. Next one is the border is unnecessary. Get rid of that. Just unnecessary clutter. The sub headline, our action inspire you to dream more. That's not big enough. It's way too small for a sub headline like that. Connect to your dream. It's a pretty good call to action. It does stick out well. Probably make it bold. And also, like I said, you could probably figure out a way to utilize the space more than just having these three elements. Coming down here, big issue with white space. Again, alignment as well. This whole block here should be centered to the vertical center of this graphic right here, not just thrown up at the top. It looks like it's just randomly placed, and so they're not in alignment with each other. I would get rid of all these the shadows here. You got a shadow here, you got a shadow there, you got shadows, very subtle shadow on the just too many shadows. Get rid of that. Issue with visual hierarchy, bold these, make them black. That would make them stand out more, or darker at least. So we take these, font weight, bold, color, black. That's a little bit better. Also looks like you have a border here. Not sure where that is at. Oh, this HR here. I would get rid of that and simplify it. So that looks better right there already. These elements here, where's the shadow at? I'm not finding the shadow, but it's somewhere placed in this mess. Where the hell is the shadow at? The box shadow's right there. Okay. All right, so now we're simplifying a little bit more, but I think you get the idea. Contrast here, not enough contrast. This wouldn't pass the WCAG contrast guidelines. I could pretty much guarantee it. So yeah. What do you think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. I know what I will rate it. All right. For me, I'm going to give this a rating of a 4.5 or so. All right, next up. We have a Behance submission. All right, so this, what is this? What's happening here? All right, so this is kind of like a project preview. Here, let me reset that. I could tell that this is not very high resolution. There's pixelation occurring. It looks blurry and fuzzy. So that's the biggest thing you'll want to fix there. This logo, the icon in relation to the size of the type is really large. So I'm not sure if you created the logo, but if so, I would scale down that icon a lot and put more space between them. Next up, this light blue on the white with a shadow just does not look good. You don't want to do that type of situation. So if you wanted to fix it, maybe just make this background darker, get rid of the shadow, and make the text white. The actual app design over here looks pretty decent. I'm not going to bother with a rating just because this really isn't a UI design. It's more of like a presentation. Next up is another Figma. I'm going to let it open up on my other monitor. There we go. Let's check it out. All right, so looking at this, that is way too large. You're gonna take that sucker down and scale that thing down a lot. Again, there's not much happening here, so I can't really critique it too much. Again, the home fac appointments, the size of that needs to really come down. It's way too large. Because it's so big, there's not a lot of white space, but if you just scaled it down, the size of the type by like, 50% of what it is, it'd be a lot better and it would look better ultimately. But there's not really much happening here, so with that said, I'm not really even gonna bother with a rating for that one either. Let's see. I don't want to skip anybody. There we go. Next up, we had some animation, which I will replay. All right, so okay. So you're doing something that you shouldn't do on a portfolio. The first thing is all this animation stuff, it takes quite a while to come in. And then if we watch it again, the last thing that comes into play is this button down here that says explore. So you're forcing people to look at all this and then having to click explore just to get to the main user interface. So I would change that. I'm Daniel blah blah. I'm a 17-year-old programmer. I don't really think people care about your age. If you're trying to get hired, that might be a bad thing. The fact that you're 17, I would leave that off. So again, I would shift people right to the main user interface, not have the whole splash page. Splash pages used to be a real popular thing back in the day, like in the early 2000s, in the late 90s, but not so much anymore. So now we have an issue with alignment again. We need to take this, center this up here in the vertical center. Next up, we have, and plus this hijacking of the mouse icon is a little bit strange because you want to click on something and then the little grabber icon, the mouse pointer icon shows up on top of it. A little bit strange. I want to do that. And you only have 4 links, so you don't need that. You can have those 4 links right here so people don't have to click twice. Works in resume. Again, I can't scroll down. There's no scrolling. This is the bottom of it. So what I would do, oh, DevEd, what's up? Devi, or Eddie, rather. Thank you for the super chat. I don't know what Ron 100 is. Maybe it's $100 US? No, I don't think I'd be so lucky. So yeah, this is not a good idea, in my opinion, because why make people click on works and resume when you could just allow people to also scroll down to access that information? So you're requiring an extra work on behalf of people to have to access that stuff. So I would change that. I like the fact that you're trying to be unique and stuff with a different type of layout, but I think you could probably situate these a little bit better. Notice these backgrounds of these cards all have oh, I got 23. Yeah, that's nice. Awesome. Normally I'd say you just bought me a drink, but I'm like, I'm trying to stop drinking alcohol again. I've been drinking way too much. Anyhow, the card backgrounds are like the same backgrounds of this more button. Probably better to make these white in this context. They're unnecessarily large based on the content that's inside of them. The little link button icon should be probably situated to the bottom of the container. That way you don't have all this empty white space here. So yeah, what do you think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the very best you've ever seen. Is the alignment off because of the size of my screen? Well, width-wise, that's not an issue. But yeah, there, now the alignment's right, but still it doesn't work. So it's not an issue with my screen. So for me, I'm gonna go ahead and give this a rating of, let's see, 4.5-ish, I wanna say. Yeah, it's something like that. All right. Next up. Who was that? Oh, okay. All right. Yep. This is the next person in line. How long have we been doing this before, by the way? 45 minutes. We have about 15 more minutes or so until we continue. All right. Or till we conclude, rather. One issue here is this looks pixelated, as you know, very pixelated. You could tell like it's choppy looking. If you can get that looking smoother, that would be better. Maybe slow down because it's a little bit distracting. Again, you may not be able to do that. So let's look at this section right here. This section, you do not need these borders. So where's the border at? So that's an HR. Now, of course, this also creates an issue with a lack of white space, vertical white space between these areas. So, you know, we take our H1, then we're going to have to, notice it says margin 0. We're going to have to take the margin bottom 0.5 M units, maybe around there, maybe even a little bit smaller, and then take this one, margin bottom. And why is that not working? Oh, no, that's not the right one. That's why. H3. There we go. Now margin bottom. .5. Yeah, maybe 3 M units. So now that's a lot better in terms of the alignment for this area. If I refresh, you'll see the original. And it just seems cluttered, especially with the unnecessary borders right here. So you're going to want to open that up. Coming down next, kind of a lot of white space here. And if you can, please get high resolution logos if you're going to show like this. This is really just blurry. It doesn't look good and it makes it look cheesy. Same thing with this. This is really blurry as well. So what you're doing is you're taking on a photo, copy image address. Let's see how big this is supposed to be. It's supposed to be this size. In this case, this looks clean, but because you're scaling it up, it's looking choppy. All right, so you don't want that. Again, get rid of this border here. This little bar right here, that doesn't make sense. I would get rid of that. So yeah, there's a lot of borders that are unnecessary, not a lot of white space between each one of these sections. So those are the main things. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think this person should get for a rating? What am I? Let's see if it's responsive. And it does look like it is for the most part. I'm going to go ahead and give this a rating of 5.6. Wow, JVS gave it a 7. He must really like it. All right. Next up, I think this is it. Oh, very mysterious. This guy is in the shadows. This is perfect because it's Halloween here in the US. All right. Let's refresh this, see if there's any animation. No, there isn't, except for this little sub headline here. So let's talk about this image here. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure if it's the right tone or the right feel for a portfolio. So I might rethink that. For what it is, you know, if you're gonna do this whole thing where it's like cut off here, you could tell this was done in Photoshop and it wasn't like actual lighting taken from a photograph. Setting, like I would try to create more of a gradient for this area, but then again, I probably wouldn't do that, this type of look and feel, because, you know, I would expect this being like on a Dexter, a Dexter landing page. By the way, fans of the Dexter TV show or series, it's going to be coming. There's going to be another season coming out. I'm so excited about that. But yeah, I digress. So right here in this section, I would make this a little bit larger and maybe slow down the speed at which this is coming in through the typewriter effect. Portfolio, contact me. Might want to make this a tad bit bigger just based on the size of this. Let's click on portfolio. Well, let's go through these initial sections first. This part's not too bad. Maybe a little bit more white space on the right edge of the browser. You're suffering from white lack of contrast in this particular with the beige area with the where it says 1 year experience because it's gray on beige. I would change that up to increase the contrast in one way, shape, or form. I might even just take the same gradient here and make it the same on these two. Just make all four of them the same, and that'll create for consistency and simplify it a little bit better. Issue of alignment. You know, we have a headline here in the center almost, then way to the left is this, and then we have another one right here. So you have three different columns that are created visually. So there's an inconsistency in the flow of the layout. I like this section though for what it is. I like these types of thumbnails, especially these where you have like the tilted sort of UI design feature, the dribble effect. Now let's see if these are placeholders or floating labels. Unfortunately, they're just placeholders. So for accessibility, you want to make sure those are at least floating labels. Also, when you do type, there's not a lot of contrast, so I would fix that issue as well. I do like the monochrome nature of this. Send is a little bit not aligned vertically in the center of the button, but not a huge deal. I like the type. The simplicity for the most part is working pretty well. So what do you think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. I don't know what to expect from the Dexter finale. No clue. It's been a long time since I've watched it. I remember he moved to like Alaska or something. All right. So people are saying like 7. Let's see if this is responsive. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and give this one a 7 or so. All right. How much time do we have left? 52 minutes. All right. Let's go ahead here and check out the next one. Vishu.info. Thank you for the super chat. Another portfolio and resume. All right, let's refresh, see if there's any animation. No, it does not look like there is. All right, so we have this, another photograph of a person, not a photograph, but a artistic rendition. It's cut off right here at your shoulder, so that makes it look a little bit cheap. I might want to move this over to the left a little bit more, to kind of, that way it'll frame the UI a little bit better. If you know what I mean. I'm not sure about this could be done well, but I'm not sure about how it's kind of glowing on the edges. It's not here. So there's little areas like that I can point out that's not helping a ton. But I think it's a cool sort of effect, but it just needs to be polished up a little bit. Hello, I am Vishu Campbell, infra developer. What is infra? Well, I don't know. I think we could possibly, I think maybe a little bit more white space, so margin top. I think that would be better. Opposed to this, where it's kind of really close together. Outside of that, this is interesting. So there's the navigation's in the center of the page. What happens when we... Okay, so there's a scroll animation that occurs when you click on these. So if I click courses, it starts really slow, but then it speeds up really fast. So it feels a little bit janky. I would probably just make that a little more of a smooth transition for that. So I like how everything here looks pretty solid. The type, the visual hierarchy, the colors, contrast. This is all pretty solid. Good white space here. Joe Rogan. And again, you're not using another person who's not using floating labels, at least, or labels in any sense. You want to fix that. But yeah, I would say the biggest issue was probably that graphic up top. It just needs polished up a little bit. Pretty solid overall, though. What do you think this person should get for a rating? 1 being the worst and 10 being the best. Not 2 being the best. No more super chats, by the way. Don't send one. Thank you. I think for this one, let's check and see if it's responsive. Ah, that's a big issue right here. You can't see the type now because it's on top of him. So on desktop, at least, I'll rate it for that. I'm going to give it a 7.3 or so. All right, we had another super chat. Thank you for the super chat. Let's put the periods in. All right. Issue with visual hierarchy, scale. Those are the two things that are really sticking out. So this is a really long headline. I would try to cut down a few words. The one and only spot for hotshot reviews with ratings. I would take with ratings and remove that. So if I come over here, wait, where's the H2? Oh, there it is. There we go. And then I would take the H2 element, and it's at 2M units now. Make that like 3M units. And then take the subheadline, beef that up in terms of font size, so like 1.6M. And then maybe change the color. Something like that. Now, the width of the container here, it's spanning too far. So it's creating an issue. It's not a lot of white space. So landing text, where's the width at? Width 70%, and then margin left. So on this resolution, at least, that looks a little bit better. The get started button should be the color text. You know, this green right here should be the background of the button, and then the color text should be like black or this great dark gray color. That way it will stand out a lot more. But here are some changes I did make, at least on these two elements, and let's refresh it to see what the original was. See how much better my version was, because we really emphasized the headline a lot more. This is just too small for these two elements. This is way too large. You want to scale that down quite a bit. Or if you want to do something different, you keep it the same size, but maybe push off to the very edge of the browser. You cut off part of the image, and that's one way to make a large sort of image there. Yeah, so just for what this is, whenever you have like cards like this that are meant to be clicked, all you're providing them with is a tiny little icon. Make the whole card clickable. So just wrap it in a link. That way it's much more accessible rather than have to click this little button. Also, the button right here, there's a white text on a pretty vibrant background. Make that, not text, but you know, the color of the icon. Make the color of this icon dark, not white. That way you'll increase the contrast big time. All right, 1 being the worst, 10 being the best. What do you think this person should get for respawn.io? See if it's responsive. It is, but then the menu disappears, so maybe it's not finished yet. I'm going to go ahead and give this a rating of kind of just middle of the road 5. All right. So that is it. We're at an hour. One final time to mention the sponsor who makes these weekly live streams possible is hover.com. So with Hover, you can register your domain name with your design portfolio. Hover has over 400 domain extensions that you can choose from. So that does include .design, .art, .ink, .photo, and many, many more, obviously, with 400 of them. So you're going to find great tech support whenever you need it here. You can get 10% off your first order by clicking the top link in the description here on YouTube. Take advantage of it. Please use the link so that they'll keep on sponsoring these live streams. If you do need a domain name, that way they'll want to come back, and then that way we can do these weekly live streams on a more frequent basis. So that's going to be it for today. And yeah, I'm going to be taking the kids out trick-or-treating later. They shut down trick-or-treating in my city, but what they don't realize is that's just going to force other people to go to neighboring townships, and then it's really going to boost up the numbers. And it's like, it's so self-defeating. I'm over this COVID crap, by the way, as you can tell. All right, I'm not even going to mention that. Probably bad things will happen to my channel. I will talk to you all later. Actually, I'll stay by. You know what? I don't have anything to do. If anybody has like questions, I'm going to hang out for a little bit longer. Maybe we can do like a Q&A thing here. Where can I submit my UI designs for the next review session? You can't, because what we do is in the negative space submissions, after it is over with, I go to permissions and I make it so you can't submit anything. So you're going to have to be here when I do it. And it's kind of random sometimes. Sometimes I do these on Friday, sometimes on Saturdays. Just hang out in the Discord server, idle there, or participate even better. And then that way, when I send out a news post as a part of the stream ping people, you'll get a notification, and then you can try to submit as fast as possible. All right. Can you please check? Can you? I don't know what that means. Can you do the next one in Discord? I don't know. I don't know what you mean. I'm always going to use my YouTube channel to stream. Although I should look into Restream or whatever, because I should start getting onto the other platforms like Twitch. That whole bandwagon. At what age did I start designing or programming? Man, I have to say like 13. Yeah. GSAP versus Framer Motion. I haven't even tried Framer Motion. I need to do that. That's probably a very good video topic. In fact, I'm going to go to, because I remember hearing about it. I'm going to go to my Google Docs sheet where I have this huge list of tutorials. Actually, I'll show you. Actually, I don't want to show you because I'm not sure if the URL is protected or not. But there's literally 82 different ideas. Framer Motion. There we go. Save. Thank you for that idea. What the hell happened? Ah. There we go. Okay, it did save. Can you refer some good professional design for IT company? Nope, no clue. What stacks of technologies do I know? I really like Vue.js with Nuxt if you need server-side rendering and SEO and all that. I haven't really built anything with any of those in quite a while. I've really been focusing on just basic front-end development stuff and a lot on UI UX on this channel. What project should I work on to get a good job? If the type of project doesn't really matter. I always tell people to always try to have a side project, and not just for the sake of having a side project, but really try to come up with an idea that you could possibly turn into a legitimate business and maybe even sell in the future. So that way you get great, you have a really great reason to get better with your craft, but you're also excited about it because it's a business. So I recommend everybody have something like that. Yeah, no more super chats. Don't be submitting super chats. If somebody's saying that they should or whatever. Figma XD. This question is silly, but if you want to answer, thanks. I don't know what you mean. Oh, like which one would I prefer? I personally do prefer XD. Working in the browser sometimes I don't like that. I like the native app experience. And XD does some things better. But of course Figma does things some better, you know, as well. So I don't think, you know, if you use one or the other, you can't go wrong. Thank you. Can I review designcourse.com? Oh, by the way, everybody should go there and enter their email. If I had to review this, it's something that I made. I would say that this is really cool. Oh, it's looking large because I had that zoomed up. Everything needs to be like kind of pushed down here vertically, so it should be center of the line in my opinion. Like right here it looks good, but then we have an empty amount of white space here. I would probably also, I'm not sure if, I don't think I intended this, but there should be more white space there. So margin top 1M, maybe 2M units. That would be a bit better in my opinion. Probably make this notify me larger with more white space inside of it. So even when you do a design, sometimes you come back and say, wait, I should have done this or that a little bit better. Probably should have included icons here, but I was being lazy and I tried to just quickly bust it out. All right. So I did do my own. What's the best hosting platform, do I think? You know, I'm not even sure. I'm not like huge into hosting. Of course, I have my own hosting. I've used Media Temple for a long time, for years upon years. There's a potential that hostinger.com might become a sponsor, but I'm not going to say they're the best just because they're a sponsor. So we'll see. For a good job. Oh, okay. Where is it? I do have a Dribble portfolio page that I never update. I don't even know what my URL is. Oh, right here. This is my Dribble. A lot of these are years old. This one, that I made this graphic on the iPad Pro using Procreate. Yeah, that was from April. But this one, that was the last one before that, and this was created in 2017. I was getting into type a lot, and so I had a few of these. I really like this one. I think I did a pretty kick-ass job on that one. And then, yeah, just some random stuff here, years old. Yeah, these are like 2014, I think. I don't know. Anyhow. Right now, I'm starting to get hungry. So I think that was a good Q&A for now. Sorry if I didn't get to your question. But yeah, we'll do this again next week, and we'll see all of you soon. All right, goodbye. All right, this is one of those awkward moments where, there we go. Now I can end the stream.